tremendous victory. If not, we're gonna have a tremendous fight. Either way, we're at peace with our decision. Our members have spoken loud, 340,000 deep, 97% strike vote. It's a coincidence that 97% of our members voted to strike. And the last time UPS had a strike was 1997. And we have been very clear, we've been very transparent, and we've been very direct, stating our intentions for the last year on what's important to our members and what needs to change. For the last two contracts, the one thing that's certain is that our part-timers have been left behind.
Y'all ready?
Like us on Facebook at UnionPowerRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Union Power Radio. Listen every hour of every day. UnionPowerRadio.com.
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the members' best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
Nice. You are now in tune with the boss of the business, the What the Heck Show on UnionPowerRadio.com.
You realize that we're really not that far apart on the issues. We're just not that far apart on the issues.
We're not that far apart. What's up? This is the What the Heck Show here on Union Power Radio, July 16, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining the What the Heck Show here on Union Power Radio. We are live. We have everything. We have the Zoom live. We have YouTube live. We have the telephone lines. If you want to call in and spread your opinions or whatever was going on here on this contract. I'm wearing a shirt here that says pay up UPS, and that's exactly what they need to do is pay up. And we're going to have some guys joining in. I know Jose from California is coming in, and I think Rosie from another local. There's a guy named Victor there. I don't know. I don't see his face. I don't, when you go on Zoom, that's what happens. Aaron just joining in, and I want to tell everyone to mute yourself before, so then we won't have no backup feeds. And thank you for joining the What the Heck Show here on Union Power Radio. We have a lot to talk about, guys. It's a whole lot of shit going on over there. Listen, I put a picture up with that AOC lady, the Democratic girl. I really don't know who she was. I know she was at this rally that we were yesterday with Sean O'Brien and a lot of locals, Local 808, Local 202, Local 237. It was a bunch of locals there at this rally in Local 282. That's where we had it at. And this Democratic girl came, Alexandra Cortez, whatever. She's very cute. But anyway, I took a picture with her and I got nothing but bad feedbacks on that picture. It was like everyone was just bashing the fact that I took a picture with this. Mute yourself, please, Dan. So everyone that is not talking, just mute yourself, and then when you're ready to talk, unmute yourself, because we won't have the feedback. And the guys on Mixler, they won't have that crazy hearing thing. But anyway, it was crazy that I thought that she was very popular with the Democrats, and she is Democratic and we are a Democratic Union. And so I figured that, yeah, hey, I put the picture out there. All right, and I mean, a lot of views, but
Hector,
but
well, the reason why you got a lot of negative feedback is because last year, well, in December when the Congress voted on the railroad workers, she there was two bills that were put up to Congress. One that contained sick pay, I think maybe 4 or 5 days, somebody could correct me, and then one that didn't have any sick pay. So she voted in against the one that had sick pay, but voted against the one that voted for the one that didn't have sick pay. So that's why a lot of union members are like, "You fucking sold us out." Especially the railroad workers. They're like, "You sold us out." And then I know you don't like, well, you have feelings about Amazon Labor Union and their, thing, but she never visited Staten Island during the whole lead up to their election at the JFK facility in in New Jersey, in Staten Island, excuse me. She never went there until uh, Chris Miles publicly called her out, like, "Hey, you talk all this big game, but you ain't showing up." And then she showed up, but she's she's done some things that
no,
haven't
no,
been very labor friendly.
now I know, and I feel like I'm stupid that I didn't follow up on her, because I posted a picture with me and her on it, and a lot of views and a lot of negative, and I had to erase some of them because they were so fucked up. They were telling, they were really disrespecting her, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta erase this. And because I mean, I gotta take the picture down now, because I don't know what the hell is going on. Hi, Jesse, how you doing? You're new to this. How you doing?
Oh, it's Jess
Hey, how's
Lister.
it going?
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good. Rosie from 6'3" on also, and we got a lot of things to talk about now. I want to get into some certain things that the UPS strike frequently asks questions that's going out there, and I'm sure everyone in this panel gets all these questions of when are we going on strike and when do we go on strike. Listen, the company needs to pay up. I mean, they gave something good to the full-time. I don't think it's that good. I mean, Sean went in there with $10 and he got 7 out of it. But the part-timers should be at the same rate. I mean, not the same rate. I mean, let me get it right. So if they're going to give the full-timers $7, they should give the part-timers $7. Just, they have the money to do it. And that's going to be the holdup for this contract. And a lot of full-times they come to me all the time and say, why we just don't sign the contract? We got what we got. No, you got what you got, but the part-timers didn't get what they got. And we on this together. We gonna strike if they don't give the part-timers what they deserve. I truly believe that. I never was a part-timer. And when I became a business agent, and I've been a business agent now for 4.5 years, and let me tell you something, I had to roll up my sleeves and do that hard work. And I did it in the summertime. And I'm telling you, I'm big. And when I left that truck, I felt like I was skinny because I sweated so goddamn much in that warehouse doing the work they do. And these part-timers, they get up early in the morning, they get up to make a living, and $15 is not gonna do it. There's more money that to be given. I think they believe they deserve $25. And Sean is, I'm hope, stick to his guns and keep this company to the fire and keep on with what he's doing and putting pressure on this company, because they need to pay up for these part-timers. These part-timers deserve the wages, especially. Anybody a part-timer here?
Well, I've been a part-timer for 25 years, and part-timers do need the pay. We have Jess on here, and she read this article from the LA Times and from the 80s where we found like the date where UPS did the cutoff was 83, when before 83 everything was paid equal. Part-timers and full-timers, they made $12. Only difference was the hours worked. After 83, there was a conscious effort, I guess, on the behalf of UPS and the IBT as well to pay drivers a higher rate because they're the face of the company. Those are what people see every day. And then, you know, decrease the pay of part-time. You went from 12 to 8 for part-timers, 12 to 15, I believe, to full-timers, you know. So that's when the gap started. And then what's been happening ever since, you know, throughout that time with the contracts. The contracts has always raised the pay for full-timers, you know, and part-timer pay has just been stagnant. It's just been here, you know, while inflation is creeping up. We've never caught up with inflation. If you would have caught up with inflation, our pay would have been 25.
Exactly.
What Teamster Mobilize have been asking for. So, you know, we can't be kicking this can down the road any longer. Part-timers deserve.
It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame of this company that allows this to happen. That they have part-timers living in shelters
but it's a shame. It's a shame that the IBT allowed this to happen as well. We didn't get a pay increase till 2013. You know, they've allowed this to go on for so long that's a problem, you know. And then we talk about the two-tier wage system. Yes, there is a two-tier wage system for drivers, but we have a multiple tier system wage system when it comes to all these different class, you know, 22-3s. So they're still getting paid. I think Rosie, correct me if I'm wrong, they're paying I think $6 less than a full-time driver. You know, it's just insane. We have all these tiers and just created this fucking problem of with the wages.
Exactly. And you know, and it kills me also with the 22-4s. That I hated that language from the beginning when Dennis Taylor even introduced it to us last 5 years ago. And I never liked that language. I never liked the fact that a driver of 22-4 is in the same street as a regular driver making $6 less and don't have the same benefits as a driver. So I always hated that language. And now that the language is gone, it's gone on when we signed the TA, the tentative agreement. But the 22-4 is now saying, hey, I got what I want. What do I need to go to strike for? And this is fucking bullshit, because you are part of a Teamster brotherhood and sisterhood, and we all got to stick together no matter what you got. If you got something good for you. Now we got to go get what we need for the part-timers, and I don't like that shit. And you guys got to stop fucking thinking about yourselves, because this is all you were saying when you were coming up to me and saying, I don't want to be a 22, why I don't have this right, what I have. Now that Sean O'Brien put it out there and said that we got to get rid of the 22s, the 22-4, you still got to stick with the Teamsters. You still got to stick with your brothers and your part-timers. Stop the bullshit and stop saying, oh, I got what I want. I could move on. I don't have to strike. And those are the motherfuckers that are going to be fucking crossing that picket line, because we have a right to stay in at picket line and do it for our brothers and sisters, to all our brothers and sisters. So what the fuck, Victor, instead of sending a text, can you talk? What's up, Dan? And Jesse had to say something, right? You said something.
It's Jess.
Jess, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what was said that Jose just said. You know, this problem was agreed upon in the 80s. I think they knew what they were doing, the company and the IBT. There was even an article that quoted Dennis Taylor, and I think the quote said that the part-time wage was purposely kept artificially low because it afforded them gains in other areas. And that is exactly what they did. They kept those wages down, and they put the gains into the pockets of the full-timers and of everybody else. And that's not right. You know, the work that the part-timers do is some of the fastest paced, physically demanding hours. It's shorter hours, but it's a lot of work crammed into those hours. And we all know what that cramming does. You know, it's not realistic. It's not safe. You know, everybody deserves to be paid well for every hour that they're working. Nobody's labor is less valuable because they're only working 5 hours, really because the company is only giving them 5 hours. People are having to fight for daily guarantees in places. Their start times are varying by an hour, hour and a half during the week. They're wanting people to essentially be on call. Yeah, we're only going to give you 3.5, but if we've got 7 hours, like you're forced to stay those 7 hours. Like you can't really maintain other steady, like a lot of jobs that want you for certain hours. You don't know what time you're getting out. You don't know what your work day looks like. And you probably couldn't go work another physically demanding job like that for another 5+ hours. You just can't keep up those paces for, extreme extended periods. And that work is hard work, and those people should be paid good. They're working hard for those hours. And I think that people should be paid proportionate to the profit they're generating. And we all know the profit that we're generating. We're all moving packages. We're all making this world go round. We all deserve to be paid well, not just maintain for inflation. Like, that's bullshit. That's the same buying power year after year. That's no raise. Maintaining? Why are we maintaining? This company's not fucking maintaining.
Nice. I love it. I love it. And that you're absolutely right. This contract is plenty of contracts in the past was always, and this is what these guys do when they go to election. They always talk about part-times are important. Part-times are important. Once they get into office, part-time is not important anymore. This has got to stop. This has got to fucking stop. If you're fucking going into an office and you're talking about you want to take care of the fucking part-timers. That's all. Don't go into an election because you think that you're going to get into the office by saying, I'll take care of the part-timers. The part-timers are very important. Motherfucker, do it. Take care of the part-timers. And you'll stay in office for a long fucking time. Don't always think about full-timers. I mean, I've been a full-timer all my career. But the thing is that I got the feel of it because I went in as a BA. I went in and saw them at 3:00 in the morning. I went in and seen how hard to load 4 trucks over 1,000 pieces. Get the fuck out of here. They deserve it. And Sean better stand his ground and don't give in. And fuck it. We all going to go out there for those part-timers. Go ahead, Rosie. What's up?
So I don't want to take anything away from the part-timers. I understand that over the years they've been absolutely screwed because there's not a lot of language in there for the part-timers, and those that work under Article 40 are fucked. But I gotta say that us 22-3s have been absolutely and royally screwed. And we don't just do one job like the part-timers, we do 2. And we have 22-3s in my barn that are load. And these guys are loading trailers for 8 to 12 hours a day. And we have been completely fucked. And there's language. And I want it, like, it's not just about pay. It has to be about language. Because like in the 22-4 language, did they take it out? Because in the last contract, the 22-4 language said that the 22-4s can replace 22-3 jobs. Did they take that language out? Or did they just change it to any new RPCDs can replace 22-3s? Because we cannot be replacing these combo jobs because not everybody can go driver. I can't carry a DOT. Christine can't carry a DOT. We have a lot of guys that can't carry DOTs for medical reasons. So we need these 22-3 jobs. We need the inside shifting jobs. Shifting isn't easy. I can't fucking shift. Christine can shift. I can't. It's not something that everybody can do. And even shifting isn't an easy job inside there. They require you to work five days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. Sometimes you have to work 6, 7 days a week. It's not easy doing these shifting jobs. So, and you know that, Jess, you shift. Like shifting is a bitch. And so there's a lot of jobs.
I also want to just throw in there, since, you guys are kind of having multiple positions with the 22-3s. I'm ECS clerk, hazmat responder, and shifter. I usually also unload Syndigan cars, do SurePost, all the damages, repack. So I'm doing some of everything. Like sometimes I'm there 7.5 hours, But our porter that comes in and works, that's outsourced. So they don't, they don't want to we don't have a single full-time inside job in my barn. I doubt the company wants to create any. They will only do that if they're made to do so. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that stuff up, because part-time is not the only concern in this contract. Like, there's a lot of concerns for the part-time. Some of it's wages. There's also other concerns. Like, we need to be addressing all of these major concerns. We don't need to leave anything unaddressed.
So now that you bring it up, the 22-3 tier, it's not even in the contract. They didn't even talk about it in this contract, the 22-3. All is about the PVDs, which they couldn't get rid of. And that's another thing we're going to talk about, because this company is right now hiring a lot of PVDs because they are going on strike. So they're going to have these personal vehicles do the deliveries for them, which they're not going to match up. They're still going to get fucked up. But anyway, it was 4.
Yeah, I want to just mention, I think I heard them say that part-timers would now be able to do PVDs. So I guess that was the give back there to, we'll just throw a little bone to the part-timers, and that'll let us keep PVDs in the contract.
So I know that, like, in my barn, the PVD drivers were our part-timers, and they didn't mind it because they got driver pay for PVD driving. And then when they came back and did their shift that same day, they were still at driver rate. So they loved PVD driving. They were all down for PVD driving because they were making money hand over fist as PVD drivers. And I don't have a problem if you're going to give it to a Teamster, if
right. Well, I feel like it should be offered.
To do, then fine. But just honestly, if you need that kind of shit, just make more fucking RPCD drivers.
Right.
That's really how to solve this shit. This outsourcing crap in personal vehicles and all this other stuff is just another way for them to get out of training people in the DOT department and getting by on a lot of other stuff that they actually need to be held responsible for, instead of actually paying them the full-time pensions and all of the other stuff that they need to be paying them. So they're just trying to cut corners in all these other areas. It's the same with the 22-3s. If they can get rid of the 22-3s, then they can have all the part-timers and just continue to fill the barns with part-timers doing a full-time job, which is ridiculous, because if they can continue to work a part-timer 8, 10, 12 hours a day, then they don't have to pay a full-time pension. And in some areas, they don't have to pay full-time benefits, and they don't have to pay the full-time wages. And that's really what the company wants to do. And we cannot allow that. We have to make sure that the language is forcing them to create more full-time jobs. And it's not saying, hey, we're going to pay the part-timers all this money, but on the back end, in the language, we're going to fuck you, and we're going to eliminate a bunch of full-time jobs while we do this. We cannot allow that. And this is what we've got to look for in the language when that language fully comes out.
But Rosie,
I agree with you 100%.
Rosie, I haven't heard anything of any language being changed for the 22-3s throughout this whole negotiations. And
neither have I.
And I'm looking at the TAs that they ratified or whatever they agreed to, and it's nothing. It goes from Article 20 to Section 5, and it doesn't say anything about a 22-3 position. They didn't talk about it, and it's a big concern. I see your concern now, and I guess the 22-3s out there that are out there in 804 and I guess in all the locals, it's a concern, because how can if it's layoffs, these guys that guarantee 8 hours now have to take a layoff or a split shift or whatever the case may be. That's what they're doing now. But Jose, you have something?
Yes, I was just gonna what Jess said was what Jess said, that Dennis Taylor, no, was it, I don't know if it's Dennis Taylor or Ken Haw that had that comment about keeping the wages low so UPS could be profitable. It shows how divisive some of us in these positions are. but it also shows that business unionism type of mentality, you know, just choosing one workforce over the other just so you could keep that division, you know. And then like what Rosie said is true, we need to find out the contractual language. Everything that's been out there has been vague when it comes to these updates. It's been vague. There's no real mention of the specific language. If there is, it's kind of, you know, there's really not that much there for us to grasp, you know. So we need to look for this for the contractual language to make sure, like Rosie mentioned, that we don't get screwed over, that, you know, 22-3 doesn't get screwed over, or part-timer gets screwed over. You know, in 2020, during COVID, when they went back to negotiations, and, you know, the union said, well, you know, why don't you pay our guys and our women, you know, our workforce, hazard pay, and UPS turns around and says, no, you know, there's like, we have an existing contract. But what they did offer us was, you know, Rosie said they offered us PVD at top rate. But then I think in 2021, I forget what part of 2021, they you know, they abandoned all that. They didn't offer that to us anymore out here in my barn. I don't know. I can't speak for Rosie's barn. They might have continued. I think for us, they stopped it at, I think, early 2021, maybe. They stopped at part-time PVD at top rate. And I know a bunch of guys that took it, but I was gonna take it, but I was like, no, I'm not going that far, and I don't want to use my car. You know, I just, you know, it's just the way it is. But we need to find out the contractual language, because we can't be screwing over any more classifications any longer. What does that create? It only creates hostility within our ranks. You know, if you're not going to be fighting for us, then you shouldn't be in that position. I do want to commend Sean O'Brien when he's talking about poverty pay, our members getting food stamps, our members receiving government assistance. The only critique I would say is that I wish you would have had a part-timer that's actually that's doing that, that's having government assistance, that has 2 or 3 jobs, you know, so you put a face behind the message. That's what would be my only critique. But I do appreciate him talking like how some of us talk, because we see it. We know members that slept in their cars, or they were living in a shelter, or they, you know, or live on or sleep on wherever they could rest their head at the night after they get off of work, or just rest their head in the day after they get off work, whatever it may be.
Right. Someone just put on the chat that we all should be reading our contract before we even make the vote, and not just think about the highlights of what they're going to be presenting. And I believe that's true. I mean, everyone.
Yeah, you have to compare and contrast. What does the contract have currently that we're working under, exist under, and then what does the tentative agreement say? How do they match up? Because if Rosie's saying, if there's something if there's a sentence that's not in the tentative agreement that's in the old one, then you know, okay, well, why is that sentence not there? What's the purpose of it? Because there's a purpose why that whatever sentence it may be is not in the tentative agreement. And Rosie said the contractual language matters, because any ambiguity, we all know UPS is going to run over. And then if we do get the sitting arbitrator, like the guys from Teamster Talk have mentioned in their podcast, you might have a sitting arbitrator that's going to interpret the contractual language in favor of UPS, and probably that wasn't probably the intention of it.
Right. There's a lot of things that I'm hearing now, and I'm saying, you know, they holding up the contract. What they saying, and Sean O'Brien is saying, is holding up the contract because they don't want to give the raise to the part-time. But I think it's more to the part-timers as far as the 22-3s go and their contract, and a better language for them to protect them, and to but it's a lot to talk about, I guess, because there's going to be a lot of things going on in the next couple of days with this company. This company right now is is looking to strike. I mean, they're hiring off the streets. They're doing PVDs off the streets. They're never going to do the quality of work that we do as a whole, as a Teamsters. but they're gonna do and try to push out as much work with these PVDs. And it's a lot of things that we're gonna have to go over with as far as the picket line and what can we do and what can we not do, as far as when those scabs starts walking across that picket line to pick up those packages and delay the process. And that's what it is delay the process. If they could send out all that work with PVDs, which they're not going to ever succeed with that. There's going to be a lot of missing packages. It's going to be theft. It's going to be a clusterfuck for that company if they decide to go on strike.
Well, who's going to load? Who's going to load those PVD cars? I mean, who's going to? They're going to probably use the PAL. You think a scab straight off the street's going to understand a PAL?
The better question is, who's going to move the packages? If all the feeder guys are on strike and the pilots are standing next to us, I mean, that's what I keep telling people that I've even thought might think about crossing the picket line is think about this. You're going to go in there and help them clear out the building. But once you clear out your building, that's it. I mean, they're not going to hire scab truck drivers to bring loads in, and the pilots are going to walk with us. So there ain't going to be any work. So all they're really doing is hiring a cleanup crew to empty the buildings. And shout out to Jess. I'm glad I saw you on here. She's a very awesome, passionate Teamster. And when she was doing her little spiel, I almost said to her, "How do you really feel?"
You should have.
Well, I hate to say it, but I mean, they do have their coyotes. And so they'll move there. And I know that, I mean, I've heard that they are training their management pilots, but it's not enough. And that's the thing. Like, the big thing is that they don't have enough. If they're lucky to move 20% of the volume that we move, then they're good luck. And then they've got to get that volume past us on the line. And we're going to be holding up that movement on the line. And that's what people need to understand, is that it's not like the exits are going to be open. That's our job, is to hold the line on those exits for whatever amount of time has been legally, established that we're sitting there, holding the line for. So that's what I don't know what you were showing us, Eddie, Hector.
No, I'm not showing you anything. I'm just trying to get the thing up. Hold on a second.
Christine and I did a show last week on basically the guidelines of striking and what all everybody needs to know about that and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if you want to talk about it, Hector, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because I've been really watching
make this the Mew and show
is a lot of people have been talking about how they feel like Sean is moving the goalposts, because he talked today about how if UPS comes back with an offer and we have a tentative agreement, that we could wind up working over past August 1st, because we have a tentative agreement, and voting on that and working without a contract. And I think that people don't understand what that means. They don't understand the legalities of all of that. And it's not that Sean's moving the goalpost. It's that people don't understand the NLRB laws. They don't understand contract laws. They don't understand how all this works. And Sean is trying to explain to them that UPS knows what they have to offer. They know what they have to bring it to the table. They know exactly what they need. If UPS brings that to the table, if UPS comes on July 30th and brings everything that Sean and Fred have said you have to bring to the table, Sean and Fred can't say, well, fuck you, we're going out anyways. They have to accept it. Because that's what we've demanded. And so it's like anything else. If you're buying a house and you tell that this is the offer that I've made, and they come back and say, okay, you've got that offer, you're not going to say, well, fuck it, I don't want it now. You're going to say, well, then I'll take the house. That's the same thing. So he's going to have to take it. So how it works at that point is they have a TA, they have a handshake agreement. They go to the 2-man and they begin to finish off and finalize the contract. And then It's now offered to us. We start having our meetings in our locals where they go over the contract. They mail out the contracts with our ballots. However, we're going to vote, whether it's through the mail or electronically.
Electronically.
And then that's probably going to be electronically. When we vote, we're either going to accept or reject that contract. Now, depending on what we decide is then going to be the next step. If we accept it, then it ratifies and, we stay working and we have a new contract. If we reject it, then we move on from there. But this isn't Sean going back on his word or changing his mind. This is the legal steps of how this works.
Exactly.
So people need to understand that if we have a TA and we wind up not going out, it's not because they caved. It's because UPS came and gave them everything that they had asked for. Exactly. And I think people need to understand that aspect of what's going on.
I think Sean O'Brien should have said that in the beginning, because if somebody please correct me if I am wrong. On that press conference he had several weeks back, he said if there's no ratified contract. Now he could have easily said if there's no tentative agreement. Why are you saying if there's no ratified contract? Yes, we understand there has to be a tentative agreement, but just for people, okay, I was saying he fucking moved the goalpost. So I wish he would have stated it clearly in the beginning if there's no tentative agreement, rather than if there's no ratified contract.
I agree. If those limitations were already there, he should have never stated that to begin with if he didn't have that power to make that call. If he knew that really legally all we had to have is a tentative agreement, that should have been the statement.
That's what
I want last year instead of a ratified contract.
That's what I want to talk about. Hold on, Rosie. Can you hear me? You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you guys are talking right over me, and I'm the fucking host. What the fuck is wrong?
Hey now.
Hector complains when we don't.
I totally took over the What the Heck show.
He doesn't want us to chime in.
But I just want to know. I want you guys' opinion of when he said to the company, the final offer on July 5th, how, if the contract is not expiring to July 31st, how do you give a company a due date that you have to have the best and final offer? Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. You're dying to talk. Go ahead.
So all I was going to say was about Sean and everyone thinking he's changing the goalposts and changing the whole stuff. First of all, Sean absolutely meant it as far as them having an agreement and voted on prior to July 31st. He absolutely meant that. He set the July 5th date because that would give us approximately 3 weeks to go over it and vote it up or down prior to August 1st. So that was the reason for the July 5th date, was he wanted time to put it out for a vote prior to, but he's only going to put it out to a vote if it's something that they recommend. Right. And when contract negotiations broke down on July 5th, the committee in Washington voted down unanimously to reject the offer that they were last talking about because it was garbage. And the committee's not obligated to put it out for a vote if it's garbage. So that was for the July 5th date. Now, as far as the July 31st date, Sean meant it, but you got to also understand too, if the company gives us everything we want, to tag on to what Rosie just got done saying, and we walk out the door and we go on strike for 3 weeks while we're ratifying a contract, one, we're going to lose public support because UPS is going to say they gave us everything and we still walked. Yep. Two, we're going to look like asses. And lastly, members are going to suffer the wrath of that. And like I said, if Sean tells us it's a garbage deal, but he puts it up for a vote and the tentative agreement is on July 31st, well, then, we should go on strike. But I don't think he's going to put it up and sign a tentative agreement if it's all garbage. So he has no choice but to extend the contract long enough to vote. And then if we choose his membership to vote it down, we'll go on strike the very next day. Right. So, it's smart what he's doing. I don't think he changed the goalpost. He meant everything he said, but now that we're in the thick of it and the company and negotiations that broke down, he has no choice but to extend the contract long enough to vote on it if we come up with a tentative agreement. And just real quick, I want to loop back to something about the sitting arbitrators. Something that a lot of people that don't have sitting arbitrators may or may not know is that sitting arbitrators only rule on discipline cases when there's a deadlock. Okay. And you can back me up on this,
Yeah.
Hector.
Yep.
So if it's a language case and it deadlocks, it goes to the national panel system.
Correct.
If it's a disciplinary case, like a discharge, the arbitrator sits in the room and listens to the entire case, and he may occasionally ask questions and stuff, but an arbitrator does not get involved unless it's deadlocked.
Correct.
So for people that don't understand that, I just wanted to loop back and say that I got a message from somebody that asked me to clarify that. So
Yeah, so the arbitrator listens to the whole case from the moving party, which is the company and the union. And he sits there, he listens. Sometimes he has questions at the end, but at the end, it becomes an executive section. An executive session, that's when the company and the union stay behind. The arbitrator leaves the room. And if they can't come to a conclusion for your discipline or whatever the case may be, then if it becomes deadlocked, then the arbitrator gets asked to come back into the room to make a decision, the final decision of the discipline. That's correct. So Jose has his hand up. What's
Okay,
up,
well,
Jose?
two things. Thanks, Dan, for the clarification. But out here in the Southwest, we have 7 deadly cardinal sins. 7 cardinal sins. So, you know, that right there, and we have dishonesty. So that one, I don't know. I wouldn't want a sitting arbitrator there when UPS will lie out their pants to try to get a member fired because of, you know, for whatever reason. Maybe they're an activist, you know, and they're just trying to target. But there's something.
listen, Jose, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to. Okay, you're preaching to the choir here. Okay, I just
I know
returned
that.
from an 11-month termination over dishonesty, and the only thing I can tell you is here in the New England Supplement, we hit a home run on that, and I said this in the last show, they cleared up the dishonesty stuff by giving it a definition, and now that dishonesty is limited to certain things, and they're more egregious things. And like in my case, had those rules been in place in this current contract, I never would have lost a day's pay. I would have worked the entire time. So if your supplement allows for an open-ended dishonesty, that's something your local needs to work on and in your supplement, because they hit it out of the park in New England here with that.
We say that we don't know what's in the Southwest. But going back to the July 5th, when John O'Brien wanted UPS's last, best, and final offer, I don't think you should have said that, because now you say that, and then now you say if there's no tentative agreement by July 31st, then why even say UPS give us our last, best, and final offer
Under the
when you
NRA.
still have all that time to negotiate? You know, even if we come to an agreement on July 30th, now we know, you know,
Right, but what
the
you're
process is going to be played out after July 31st, August 1st, and we know we're going to be working during that.
Right, but what you're missing
time.
on that, Jose, what you're missing on that is that his plan originally, and of course he's been very tight-lipped with his plan, right? And I think it's
and that's
a
problem.
good strategy. Well, no,
I don't like that. The MDA.
Right, and that's all garbage. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about his plan of how he was going to negotiate this contract. He's kept that close to his vest because he wanted to tackle things in a certain order, and he had a strategy behind it. Okay, and I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about the non-disclosures. I'm not talking about the information not being given out to the membership once it's agreed upon. I'm talking about how he went about these negotiations. And again, July 5th was a date he set because if he got a last, best, and final from them, put it out to membership for a vote, we would have time to vote up or down that contract prior to July 31st. And the reason for that is so that by July 31st, he could go back to the table and not only say it's garbage, but our members have now voted it down, and we're going to go on the strike line August 1st and he's set the boundaries for everything. Okay, so he
But
again-
doesn't that create a delay? Because if the company comes to them on July 31st and says, here's what we're going to offer you, now send it out to the membership. Can we go on strike until this is ratified?
No, because again, if you have a tentative agreement, you can't walk out the door and what, you're going to go on strike for 3 weeks waiting for a tentative agreement. It's no different than if we go out on strike. Let's say there's no tentative agreement and we go on strike August 1st.
Right.
All right. And like this, let's say the strike ends 4 days later. Well, that's not because we ratified it. It's because the strike ends because we have a tentative agreement. And now we're going back to work while we vote on the contract.
But
we're not going to vote on.
If I'm the company giving you, if I'm giving you my final and best and final offer to you, to the president of the IBT, and saying, here, take this to your Teamsters to vote on it. And if he don't like what he sees, he don't have to send it out to the
right.
membership.
He can still do that. So right, he can reject the offer on July 31st. If they give him a last, best, and final, and he doesn't agree with it, and he says, we overwhelmingly, and the committee votes, and they say, we reject your offer, we can go out on strike on August 1st without a thing. But if he has a tentative agreement, which means both sides have agreed to it, that's what the part maybe that people are misunderstanding.
Exactly.
Last,
that's why I
best,
want
and final
to understand.
Right. Last, best, and final and tentative agreement are two different things, right? Last, best, and final is the company's proposal to the union. This is our best offer to you. Then Sean either says it's garbage, we unanimously reject your offer, and we're going on strike. Or he says, okay, I think this is a fair deal, and he signs that tentative agreement. Tentative agreement is different than a proposal. So with a tentative agreement, we have to vote it up or down before we can walk out.
Right.
Okay. So that's why he was trying to get that done by July 5th, because he wanted to be able to put it out for a round of voting prior to August 1st. Right. But that didn't happen because the last thing they talked about on July 5th was unanimously rejected by the committee. Therefore, there was no need to vote on it. And now we're waiting for UPS to reach out to have further negotiations, and they'll continue the process. But that deadline of July 5th was his opportunity to try to have a tentative agreement for the members to vote on prior to August.
Right to
all Sean tried to do today was explain to the members that if UPS comes back at the last minute with everything the union has requested, and they give it to us, and the union accepts it, and if we have that TA, then we will work beyond August 1st so that the members can vote on that offer. If UPS comes back and gives us garbage again, then they'll reject it, and we will wind up striking August 1st. It just depends on, one, if UPS even comes back with an offer, they may not, and two, what that offer is if they do come back. But he wants the members to know this is what could happen if they do come back, because UPS is possibly sitting over there going, okay, look, we're not going to be able to move these packages. We are not going to be able to supply our customers. We are not going to be able to keep our shareholders happy. Mm-hmm. And we have to take all this into consideration. Do we really want to do this over a small amount of money that is really just, a drop in the bucket compared to what we've already made and what we can make in the future? Is it really worth it?
I believe that Sean O'Brien pissed them off when he gave him the July 5th date. And I think they're going to hold out into fucking exactly July 31st to even put a proposal in of whatever they have, their best and final offer right on that date, because they felt that, and I'm glad that he did that, because fuck this shit. It's been a lot of years that Hoffa took a lot of deals and extended the contract a lot of times that we had to get retro pay and all that bullshit. So I'm glad that he did that. A lot of people don't like that he did it, But I'm kind of glad he did it because we have someone there now in the IBT that's fucking is going to man up.
And that's been his plan the whole time, is to put as much pressure on this company as possible. And he did that by starting negotiations in April, postponing it 3 weeks because they didn't have the supplements done. I mean, it's been a pressure campaign. So, I mean, he's never going to tell us up front what his strategy was going to be because he didn't want to tip his hat to the company. But everything he's done is to put pressure on this company. And the other thing I wanted to bring up that, you know, everyone keeps talking about how it's the part-time wages that are holding up this contract, right? I guarantee you that's not it. And I'll tell you why. Because if we strike over wages alone, the company can hire new employees and replace us. Okay? There has to be a non-economical issue in order to walk out those doors and guarantee that we're still going to have jobs. So yes, they're talking about how it's about part-time wages, but what's important to understand is that they have to lop that in with something non-economical or our jobs could be at stake. So the whole part-time stuff, I think what he did was when he was strategizing this, he said, we'll go through the language stuff first because that's easy stuff. They'll give us that. Doesn't cost them anything. Then they went through some other non-economical stuff because, you know, they're going to give it to us. And because historically they've always given the full-timers a pretty good raise, he negotiated that first, right? Because now you have a tentative agreement. They can't go back and change that stuff once you have a tentative agreement until it's voted on. So I know everybody keeps saying it's just about the part-time wages, but I bet you it has a lot more to do. And granted, I wish we knew what that was, but there's something else holding this up too. And it probably has to do with the part-timers as well, because we will not strike over just wages or we could lose our jobs. So there's something else there that's holding up this contract.
So why if it's not a brownout, why we don't know what is the other holdup besides the part-time wages?
Because when they're negotiating, right? If they negotiate all non-economical stuff and then they save the wages till last, then you're down to saying we're striking over just wages, right?
Well,
so
that's what's happening. That's exactly
but it's
what he's
not
promoting.
I
He's
guarantee
promoting that though.
Listen, I don't know what's going on in that room, but I can tell you right now, Sean O'Brien and Fred Zuckerman are smart enough to know that we can't walk out these doors on just wages. That's a huge risk and we could lose our jobs. So there is non-economical issues still sitting on the table or that they're going to package in with our strike issue in order for us to walk out the doors.
Okay.
Wait, I think I think O'Brien has said that all non-economic factors have been agreed upon.
No, that's not necessarily true. He said the non-economical package was done, but I'm telling you right now, it'll come out at some point. And again, I don't have anybody inside the room. I don't have it, but I'm telling you right now, go look it up. If we walk out the door on straight up wage issues, we can lose our jobs. If we go on strike under what they call ULP, unfair labor practices, and it's because of X, Y, and Z and wages, they can't replace us.
Okay, so there's still non-economic factors out there that are still open.
I'm telling you, everything in my body 100% tells me there's other issues. There has to be, because we cannot walk out just on wages alone.
But I'm saying, but it's being put out there, Dan. Everyone is talking and saying we're holding up until they take care of the part-timers. That's money. That's economic, right? Am I wrong?
Right, economical.
Right, so is nothing else being put out there of why it's a hole on this contract?
Listen, I don't know why they're choosing what they're putting out and what they're not putting out. I've had complaints about certain things like
the members are being fed. The members are being fed that we have to go on strike if they don't give the part-timers their money. You know, pay up, UPS, you know, but they're not telling us exactly what's the real holdup.
I'm not telling you that it's a major issue that's yet to be discussed. I'm saying when we go out on strike, it will not be over part-time wages alone. They will have other ULP or non-economical issues that are part of our strike, because if it's comboed with the wages, we have a leg to stand on, and they can, that protects us a little more legally than if we just walk out the door on just wages. I mean, I can't sit here and quote what the law is, but there are protections we have if we go on strike under an unfair labor practice versus we have less rights and protections if we walk out the door on wages alone.
Well, I just want to give you guys an announcement here on the What the Heck show. I always come up with some crazy shit. Well, we got 10 minutes, but I want to let you guys know that Sean O'Brien will be on my show. We are setting up the schedule now. So if you guys want to get on and ask some questions, he's going to be here on Union Power Radio. I'm thinking about in 2 weeks. We were talking yesterday when he was at the rally. He says he wants to come on the show. He wants to, because I sent him an email. I said, hey, remember when you got on the show before you got into office? How about getting into the show when you aren't in office? And he took that email. He quoted me yesterday when he saw me on the rally. He says, I definitely want to get on your show. So I will have Sean O'Brien here on the Union Power Radio, the What the Heck show. The date will be announced on Facebook and put it on out there. And if you have all kinds of questions to ask Mr. Sean O'Brien, this is the place to be. I think Fred Zuckerman also will probably.
Please don't limit us. Please don't limit us to the questions. Today, when we had that webinar, there's only, I think, 4 or 5 questions.
They had 5 questions at the webinar.
Yeah.
Listen,
let's not limit that.
I can't tell you, I can't keep him here for a whole hour, but he will be on the air he can answer questions. He's a straight up guy. He don't hide behind his, anything. He'll be talking and he'll be answering questions. Now, I'm not going to have a line of 100 people asking him questions. He's a busy guy. He's trying to negotiate this contract. He's got to do his thing. If I get 15 minutes of his time, is it is what it is. But, I never keep somebody here for a whole hour. So when I speak to his publicist and set up a date, he'll be here on the What the Heck show here on Union Power Radio. I also going to have a special guest from the 97 strike, a guy that was out there in the front. He's going to explain the do's and don'ts if we do go on strike. I'm hoping we don't go on strike and we get everything that we possibly can get from this contract and make it the best contract ever. But knowing this company, they're greedy motherfuckers, so they're not gonna budge to demands. So we're gonna wait to that. I also put this up here, which it says the UPS strike and frequently asks questions. And I just want to let you guys know, so when they do call a strike, do not walk off the job. And this explains to you, the contract between the Teamsters and the UPS will expire on the 12:01 a.m. on August 1st. I think they got that wrong. It was supposed to be July 1st, right? Because August 1st, whatever. But anyway, you will be informed by your business agent or your strike captain when the strike begins. Do not. They should have wrote it in big letters. Walk off the job until you're told to do so by the union. Make sure you take the necessary steps to ensure that there is no damage to UPS property. Meaning that if we call it, if let's say you're on the road and you're on strike and we pull the strike, don't fucking park your truck, leave the keys in it and walk home. That's not the way it works. You got to finish up your shift, especially the feeder jobs that are overnight.
Actually, you're slightly wrong on that. I want to correct it because I read something today. If you're a feeder driver on the road at midnight and the strike is called, you get notified that we're on strike. You are not required to finish your shift.
If
you are
on the road.
Well, no. You're supposed to U-turn and go back to your domicile.
That's correct. That's correct.
Right. So don't finish your shift. Like if you're from Massachusetts and you're heading down to New Jersey and you're halfway there and we call a strike, don't park the vehicle, don't continue on. U-turn, go back to your domicile, bring back the load where you got it from, and leave it there. Don't go deliver it to the next building and then tow something back. Just immediately U-turn, go back to your domicile, and leave it there.
That's exactly what I was going to say, but you interrupted. But it's okay.
You're welcome.
Got it. Thank you very much. Don't leave your truck on the side of the road with the keys in the ignition or walk off the belt. while packages are still moving down. Listen to your union and get instructions from your strike captain or your BA. Do not take, because you heard that it's midnight, it's strike. Wait till you hear it from a union representative or a strike captain to go on strike. Now I'm gonna be on YouTube. This is gonna be up if anyone is on Facebook all over the place. What would my health benefits? If you're scared about your health benefits, if we do go on strike, part-timers, your benefits are gonna be there as long as you report to the picket line and do your thing. It's different shifts, and also the full-timers, they always talk about the money. It's 5 times your union dues, and you don't have to be there for 8 hours, but you have to report to the picket line, and you got to sign that paper for you to get the funds from the strike funds. So with that said, I'm happy that Jose, Jess was here, Rosie, Dan, everyone that was chiming into this thing. I mean, we have a lot more to talk about, and I just don't have the time. It's going to be 7 o'clock, 1 hour. I know Dan's saying
2 hours.
2 hours. But no, I have something to do. But what you guys want to leave off with last? Jose, Rosie, what you guys want to say?
So really quick, I just want to let you know that so out here in Teamsters 177 Healthcare, we actually do not have a strike clause in our healthcare. And I've been trying to let the members know that if your last day of work is the 29th, you will not have health insurance the day we strike. If you work the 30th or the 31st, your healthcare will end on August 5th, the week that week. So because our healthcare is, if you punch in, you have coverage that week. No punch, no coverage. So that's just how it works out here, and we have no healthcare.
That isn't that team care?
No, we're actually, so instead of putting us in team care, because they said the team care would be bad, they created a carve out for us because they said it would be better or equal. And I'm just not even going to discuss that right now. And so we have a separate plan called Teamsters 177 plan, but we do not have a strike clause. And look, everything that I've seen right now, it looks like we might be the only ones that may not have health coverage if we go out on strike. Because I know Team Care does. I know that the guys up north do. I know that a lot of them are on either like a 30-day punch or with lag months and stuff like that. But we just don't have that. It's, if you punch, you have insurance. If you no punch, no insurance. So these guys that are like Tuesday through Sunday, because they're not going to work Sunday or Monday, they're not going to have a punch if we go out August 1st. So unless they can pick up a shift Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, they're not going to have any insurance that week. They need to fill their prescriptions now. And they need to just know that, just try not to go to the doctor and you'll be good. As long as you don't go to the doctor, don't use your insurance while we're out. And hopefully we won't be out that long if we strike. But that's just how it's going to work. If you can pick up a shift on the 30th or the 31st, you'll be covered until the end of that week. But the following week, if the strike goes through to the second week, none of us are going to have any insurance because we won't have a punch.
Oh, that's
Hello?
go ahead, Zoomer.
So you recommend the Tuesday through Saturday, guys? The 224 is for us to punch in on a Monday. We just show up
If
to
you
work.
can pick up a shift on the 31st, absolutely. Try and get a shift.
They took away the Mondays from us, the 6th day. So
yeah, if you can try and get a shift on the 30th or the 31st, Saturday or Sunday, try and get it. That way you have a punch that week to just give you health care for at least that week. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jose. What's up?
I'm glad to see the strike force from local 542 out there on the Zoom call. Gracias. This message is not to you guys, because you guys are it's like talking to the choir, right? You guys accept the fact that part-timers need to get paid. This message goes out to those who I've argued with, others I've argued with, saying that part-timers don't deserve a living wage, that part-time pay you shouldn't raise a family on that. How can you consciously accept knowing that part-timers are unhoused? How can you consciously support part-timers getting federal assistance or municipality assistance. There needs to come a point where all our work has value, regardless of what you do, all of our work. And this is the moment now. For too long, we have accepted bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. Rosie has been in that fight. Other people have been in that fight. Those times are done. We need to fight for our respect throughout all our classifications, regardless if you're feeder, RPCD, 22-3s, 22-4s, or part-timer. We need to fight for respect. We cannot have our own brothers and sisters being unhoused. We cannot support our brothers and sisters living in shelters for $1 billion company who's so stingy that they don't want to pay us a thriving wage. Fuck that. This message is for them. You need to come to understanding that we work for a very profitable corporation, and it's time that we get ours. You have got yours, and that's good. I'm happy you got yours. But there's brothers and sisters that don't have shit. They live paycheck to paycheck. So it's time that we need to come together in true solidarity and fight for what we deserve. And what we deserve is respect.
Amen.
Well said. Well said. Rosie, you want to promote your show, please?
Yeah. We have the Tug and Meal Show. It's on both Facebook and on YouTube. And if any of you guys are actually in the Teamster 177, we actually have a link on our Tug and Meal Facebook page where you can go on the Teamsters 177 page and actually look at the alert that they put up. And there's a phone number on there you can call if you want to actually call the Teamsters 177 and get more information about the healthcare coverage if we actually go on strike, or you can call your business agents from your local. But check out our page and our show and
thank you.
And if you're a part-timer,
and check out David Roswell. I know you hate him, Hector, but I was on his show.
Fuck him. Listen, I do live show. I don't. They go Dan again. Watch. Dan's gonna say it again. Go ahead, say it.
I did a good job on his show.
You did.
Well, if any part-timers want to get involved,
I don't like two faces. Go ahead.
Come on now.
Please get at me or get at Teamster Mobilize. If you're a part-timer that's ready, that's just sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck, that knows how much this company has extracted the wealth from our labor. If you're a part-timer that wants to do something, reach out to Teamster Mobilize, reach out to me, and we'll try to create some sort of movement with the part-timers. And then not just for the part-timers, but eventually it's going to be a movement for all of the Teamsters and the broader movement, because every contract concerns the workplace, right? But every union needs to be fighting for outside the workplace, needs to be reaching out with tenant unions, or need to be going to city halls and fighting for rent control, or need to be with immigration rights, because some of our members have immigration problems, or their families does. So we need to be fighting inside the workplace, but outside of the workplace as well. So if you're a part-timer, reach out to me or reach out to Teamster Mobilize.
We have a phone call. Who's on the phone?
Hey, this is Rupley out of local 402.
Hey, what's up?
Shows Alabama.
What's up? You're on the air.
All right, hey, thank you, Hector. Hey, I just want to say real clear, classification is important when it comes to contracts. It's very important when it comes to work. But us Teamsters, we need to lay off for the part-time, full-time, everything else. We need to look at the whole contract. Okay, once we got to stand together, and if the part-time's not getting what they deserve, then we, the Teamsters, are not getting what they deserve. But everybody's got to stand together. If you think you're going to get a $7 an hour raise on the full-time, that's good, but you got to look at the whole package. So the company wants to pin us together. They want to pin us against each other. When they look at profits, they look at dollars. They care about shareholders. They care about the customer, the profits. They don't care if one customer is happy with $10,000 they spend a year, or if another customer is spending $30,000 a year. They want to keep that customer happy. Okay. Same thing with the shareholder. If a shareholder's been at the front of the deck and he controls a larger percentage, They want to take care of him, and they want to take care of the person at the end of that table that's got a little smaller percentage. So what Teamsters, we got to feel the same way and take care of each other. Stand together, solidarity, just like brother said, and stop all this. It's about the part-time. It's about the full-time. No, it's about us, the laborers. It's about us, the Teamsters. It's about us, the workers. And when we stand together, we win together. Bottom, that's all I wanted to say, Hector. Thank you for a great
Thank
show.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much for the call, and thank you for that explanation. Thank you for speaking about are you done? Are you still on the phone?
Yes, sir. I'm done, Hector.
What local you're from again? I'm sorry. What local you're from?
Local 402, Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Oh, local 402, right?
Thank you, sir.
In the house. Thank you for calling. So, guys, I mean, we're running past the time, but Dan, what do you got? You got any promotions? Or you want to speak about anything?
Yeah, well, obviously, I have the biweekly grievance show, and I'll have a show out either later today or first thing tomorrow. But kind of off topic, not really show related. I'm doing a project. I think it's going to come out really cool, and I want to use your platform to try to get some support on it. I bought a 4-foot by 6 foot. I don't know, my thing's not working, but anyways, I bought a 4-foot by 6-foot map of the United States, and I'm calling it the Action Map. And I've surrounded the outside of the map with all the like social media posts and the square photos that the IBT has been putting out with the different things with Sean and about part-time workers and everything. And inside the state of the United States, I've been grabbing pictures of actions, practice picket lines, parking lot meetings. And I'm looking for photos, and I want to fill this map with pictures of every local thing. So if anybody has any action photos, if you could email me at biweeklygrievance@gmail.com with your state, your local, and a picture. And especially if there's somebody like Jess from her local who has been a home run hitter, send me a picture of that person. I'll put them on the map. And what I want to do is I'm going to have this map have a professional photographer who's going to take a picture of this map and convert it into a digital format. And I'm going to have posters printed up because whether we go on strike or not, this has been a historical time for the Teamsters. And I think that poster will mean a lot to people. And I'm not looking to make money off of it. I'm just going to charge whatever it costs me to have it printed and shipped, and that's it. And I think it's going to come out really cool. I've already got a lot of pictures on it, but tune into the biweekly grievance and I'll be able to show you what I'm talking about and go into it more in detail. But I think it's going to be really cool. But email me photos, guys. I need them.
You heard that. Jamie didn't say anything throughout the whole show. He's quiet. Anyone else want to say the last words before we hang it up here? I guess not, huh? Anyway, thank you for listening to the What the Heck Show here on Union Power Radio. I'm going to be doing this every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be putting out who's coming on the radio. Sean O'Brien already committed that he will come on. I'm just going to set up a date, and we're going to set up the way we're going to ask questions, and it's not going to be 5 questions, and it's going to be some hardcore questions. So stay tuned for the What the Heck Show here with Sean O'Brien, and coming in. Let's see. That's going to be a great show, guys. So stay tuned, and thank Rosie. Thank Jose. Thanks, Jess. Thank everyone.
And one more question.
She's got a question.
Do you have naked photos of Sean? Because how did you get him to come on your show? I'm just saying.
I'm out. Thanks for having me, Hector. That was
solidarity, everybody. Solidarity is key.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for coming on the show. To all the guys that came on Zoom. This is going to be on podcast. It's going to be all over on podcast, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube. Register on YouTube that we could get aware that we're on the air live. I'm just trying to get the fuck off the air so fast. I'm talking too fast. I'm not even catching myself. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Dan.
Solidarity.
And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much.
Solidarity.
Solidarity.